You have a wonderful day. All right, now let's get back to that interview with the National Youth Development Agency. Apologies, the sound was not great at all, but hopefully it's all back and running now. And I'm not going to waste time introducing the interview again, because hopefully we can jump straight back into our conversation now with Waseem. Looks like you've moved out now, and I'm hoping the sound's a bit better. Waseem Carrim, thanks again for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks, Leanne. I hope the sound is a little bit better for you guys.
I hope so.
My apologies.
I hope so too. We could literally hear people eating breakfast around you and dishing up. So I think this sounds a lot better. Now, just to get into some of the Auditor General's findings, some of the matters raised in the findings included internal controls as well as human resources related matters. Perhaps you could tell us a bit about those.
Yeah, so I think if we look at the NYDA and the evolution, a big part of where the NYDA comes from was the merger of the Umsomumfu Youth Fund and the National Youth Commission. And we inherited a lot of the legacy systems of those two organizations, such as happens when you have a merger. And I think a big part for us was, really redefining the NYDA outside of that. And that involved digitizing a lot of the services of the NYDA. We're happy where we are now is that we've taken all of the systems of the organization. A young person who wants to book a training service or wants to apply for a grant or a business plan or a voucher can do it through a fully online integrated system. And that's come online since our audit report was issued towards the end of the financial year. With human resources, I think we know that there's quite a considerable amount of pressure on the public sector wage bill. We see it when the Minister of Finance talks about the budget and the medium-term budget as well. So quite a number of vacancies in the organization, but I think we've always tried to find innovative ways in which to deal with high salary costs and things like that, and to continue to offer services to young people in a way. And I think online and reaching young people through technology is a big part of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, indeed. Now, the Parliament briefing was more on your audit report, but the gist of the organisation's existence is about youth matters. That, at the end of the day, is what you're all about, as you explained a bit earlier. So what is your view on the country's status quo and the numerous reports that indicate the lack of opportunities and the dismal situation that the youth find themselves in?
Yeah, I think that's such an important question, right? And we know that South Africa faces a massive youth unemployment crisis. Yeah, and we always reflect to say youth unemployment is an outcome of youth development. Yeah? It's not like we should really say youth unemployment is the final frontier of everything that we do. But I think the president and the presidency has recognized the crisis that we face as South Africa, that you cannot have this number of young people out of work feeling hopeless about their future in South Africa. Even before COVID, we know youth unemployment was a massive crisis. And that's why the presidency, working together with the NYDA and many other social and private sector partners like the Harambee Youth Employment Accelerator, the Youth Employment Service, has put together the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention. Now, in my earlier comment, I reflected on, for example, using technology through the SAYouth.mobi app to connect young people inclusively and for free to opportunities. Last year, as part of the COVID response, there was the 300,000 young people who were placed as teachers' assistants and general assistants earning at the national minimum wage in 26,000 public schools across the country. NYDA in the last 2 weeks has opened the bids for implementing agents for a revitalized National Youth Service program. So what we're trying to do is create opportunities in multiple formats: self-employment, public employment, private sector employment, in a way that reaches young people at scale. But because what we must recognize is that while there are many good projects, numbers of 10 or 50 or 100 young people are not going to make a meaningful difference. And we need to reach young people in their hundreds and thousands if we're going to meaningfully address the unemployment crisis that we face.
So, but the idea of the National Youth Development Agency is to assist young people. But some still ask, what exactly do you do to assist young people as the NYDA? Do you honestly feel that your organisation is doing enough to address youth unemployment?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, Leanne. So the NYDA's got got a multiple number of streams of work, right? So one, we're really passionate about assisting young entrepreneurs, and we do that through the training of young entrepreneurs. We do it through assisting them if they're not funding ready, in making them sure that they get funding ready, in assisting young people through starting up their own businesses through grant finance, and that has become a very popular program. So if a young person out there is really passionate about being an entrepreneur, they don't know where to start, they can reach the NYDA in person through one of our 44 centers across the country. They can connect with us via our website or through our ERP system, where you can lodge an application or book a training service. Equally, the sayouth.mobi platform allows young people who are job seekers to be able to create a profile for themselves and be linked to a learning or earning opportunity closest to where they live. I've spoken a bit about youth service, and early next year I hope to come to talk to you about the 30,000 young people who will be intaking in a revitalized national youth service program. But really, there's a number of opportunities that are available through the NYDA. And then I'd really encourage young people to visit the website, visit the call center, and see the services that are on offer to them.
Yeah. I want to just ask you very quickly as we start to get to the end of the interview. I want to find out your total budget. I mean, this is a big thing. You've always been. I suppose there's always been funding concerns with the National Youth Development Agency. So my question to you is, what is the entity's total annual budget? And then the issue of transparency. Your organisation is also accused of a lack of transparency as to who gets assisted and what the criteria are. How do you ensure that you are visible and accessible to all? Because there are accusations that you're not. So let's talk total budget and the idea of accessibility to some and not others.
Yeah, I think it's a fair question, and I mean I'm prepared to address it in the way that says, we've set up a number of mechanisms to say that if a young person doesn't receive the quality of service, or if they feel that they're being turned away because there's a perception that we only fund a certain kind of young person, or you have to belong to a certain organization, we've really tried to dispel that myth, right? So for example, we have a call center that's always active to be able to respond to young people's questions or queries, or even complaints for that matter. I mean, complaints get escalated right up to my office, and we make sure that on a weekly basis, any complaint of a young person has been resolved in one way or another. Another aspect in which we're trying to be transparent is the publishing of our beneficiaries. So whether a young person has been through the NYDA training programs, whether they've received a grant from the NYDA, whether they've received placement in a job opportunity, what we've tried to do is make sure that all of those beneficiaries are published in a public format, right? We share it with our portfolio committee, we share it with our executive authority, we put it on the website. So that information is now publicly available. So we're trying to be open, we're trying to be honest, we're trying to be transparent in the way we do our work to kill any perception that exists that we only assist a certain type of young person.
Yeah. Also, new chairperson, first female chairperson that's in the position now. It's been a long time in the making. How are you feeling about the new board, the chairperson, and the way forward?
The appointment of the board is really historic in nature, right? Because it's really a push from the president and the presidency to empower young women in South Africa. I think we've had the conversation about women and young women in the country, but for the first time, 5 of the 7 board members are female. The chairperson and the deputy chairperson are also both very young, exceptional female, and even if you look at the qualifications of the board members, each of them holds a tertiary qualification. We have skills on the board that relate from research and policy to marketing to finance to technology. So I think a really exceptional group of young people that's been appointed by the president, and we really look forward as management, like you say, it's been a long time. We really look forward to as management the new ideas, the innovation and the creativity, as well as the good governance that they'll bring to the board of the organization and to young people in South Africa.
All right, let's leave it there for now. Thanks very much for talking to us here on the program. That's NYDA NYDA CEO, Waseem Carrim, discussing the role of the NYDA amid a youth unemployment crisis in the country. And, of course, ending there with talking about the new board, the new chairperson, predominantly female, first time ever female chairperson of the board there. So let's see how that all goes, and hoping that there'll be lots of change and opportunities for the youth. Quickly into our top stories of the morning now. It's gone 8:30.